Hey everybody, I wanted to give a quick little demo of what I've been working on here. This is it's going to be an app for Meatloaf to control it using a web interface. Of course, it'll work with your mobile browser. So what you see here is the main screen that comes up. This is going to be the main like activity screen. So you get straight to the information that you need right away, um, just by loading just loading the main screen, right? So you could see your active device. There's a print log. This is where anything you print out will show up immediately. So you come straight to this page and get your get your printout right from the system. It's going to show an activity log of various events that are going on. Again, this is just a demo right now. I've got it mostly functional. I'm still trying to tie it all into the firmware. So some things work, some things do not work yet. Reboot does work. So if you hit that, it would reboot your Meatloaf device. So, okay, so this is the main screen. The next tab on the nav bar is for devices. This is going to be your host system. So you've got some controls just to identify what your host system is, whether it's, what model 64 or what model Commodore computer it is, video standard, what kernel you're running, what version of BASIC you're running. Then you have a list of all the IEC devices. Right now it's just showing some static devices. These are all virtual devices, but when it's complete, you'll be able to do a scan of the bus. Hit this button here. Right now, this is just simulated, so if I hit this button, it's just going to randomly pick a few different devices and that it finds on the IEC bus. These would be physical devices, and it would replace the virtual devices that are here, and then it would give you some access to those physical devices. You'll be able to, I'm going to have some tools here and some things that you can do. Maybe dump a disk image or write a disk image to a physical drive that's on the same bus as Meatloaf. Um, so here you can configure your virtual devices. Say I go to drive 8. I could um, I could browse for files, and this is showing you files that are on the SD card or on the flash file system and SD card. If I go under SD, it's going to show me the files that are on the SD card. And I'm browsing a real Meatloaf device right now. This is actually connected to a real Meatloaf device, and these are the files that are available on it right now. So if I wanted to mount one of these, I just click that, and it's mounted on 8. Okay, that's one way to do it. I'm going to show you another way here in just a moment. Okay, so that's the devices tab. Scroll down to the bottom. Those are all your IEC devices, and then there's cassette and user port. I've got some ideas. I want to try and emulate some cassette type stuff too. And of course, your user port, if that's enabled, if you have that bit of hardware to add to Meatloaf, then it's going to enable some other cool features. You'll be able to put it in serial or parallel mode. I'm going to be able to support all the WIC64, um, the WIC64 API with it as well. And then I've got a little adapter I'm working on to give it IEEE 488 support. So that's kind of cool, or going to be cool once it's done. Of course, I've bouncing all over the place with a bunch of different ideas. And so a little bit of work gets done on a bunch of little things, and then they all start dropping off one after another, getting finished. So anyway, that's some ideas there for the user port. Let's see, I changed that. It saves the settings directly back to a configuration file on the Meatloaf device too every time you make a modification here. The next tab over, we've got options. We'll start at the top here. Most of these options are related to IEC settings right now, or IEC related or drive related things. So we could disable IEC completely if you just wanted to take Meatloaf off the bus completely. That's what this option is for. There's a VIC 20 mode. When this is enabled, it'll allow Meatloaf to talk a little bit faster. It'll be able to send the bits just a little bit faster because the VIC-20 didn't have the issue with the the bad lines and stuff. So it can talk IEC just a little bit faster. V drive mode, this enables the Vice virtual drive code that's in the system right now. David Hansel added this in. It's really cool. It uses the code from Vice, so you get pretty compatible virtual drive. It does do full read write to the SD card and to the local files and stuff right now, and it has full relative file support. So that's pretty cool. I am slowly building all of that stuff into the Meatloaf virtual drive. I'm doing it because it's fun for me. I like figuring out how all this stuff works, and I'm building my own implementation of a virtual drive. But for right now, if there's some things that you want to do that the Meatloaf virtual drive can't do at the moment, then you can switch this on and it will give you some things that, some more compatibility that Meatloaf doesn't quite have yet. Okay, this auto boot, this is going to be where you can select a auto boot file. So if you've got this plugged into a 128 or you have a kernel ROM that supports auto boot, you'll be able to select a file here, either a file or a disk image, and it will mount that when the device is powered up. So it's ready to go. As soon as something asks or tries to auto boot, it will have, something selected ready to go. Um, Drive ROMs. Okay, so if this is enabled, you can select say a default ROM, which would most likely be a 1541 kernel ROM, but you could also have other kernel ROMs that it would dynamically swap out based on the type of disk image that you have or media file that you have selected, whether it's a D64, D71, D81. And the reason why this feature is here is because, if you're running some software that uses memory read, um, commands to the drive and it's expecting a certain response, you can specify the drive ROM here, and if it does a read from a ROM address, it will grab the correct bytes and send those back to your computer, to the Commodore. So it gets the response that it's looking for. So that's what this is for, and this is just for certain software that expects a certain response, right? So okay, next, we've got directory enhancements. These are a bunch of different things that I've added that I kind of like. It gives more information in the directory listing, either visually or it does some things like, can force the directory listing to load in at 0801, which is um, the start of BASIC. If you don't, if this isn't enabled, it loads in at 0401, which was the start of basic for the pet. So, and that's the default behavior, is to load in at 0801. I'm sorry. If you do a load comma 8 comma 1 um, on a directory listing, so load $ comma 8 comma 1, it by default will load in at 0401, which is your screen memory, and you'll just see the directory listing just dumped to screen as like a as basic program, whatever. It just doesn't load in right. But this will force it to load in at 0801 hex in memory, so it actually loads in. Even if you load your directory listing with a comma 8 or a comma 1 by accident, it will load in properly, right? Okay, so BAM message. This would read the BAM message. Not all disks have a BAM message, but some people, there's some uh, some disks out there that actually have a message that whoever the author was, whoever the hacker or cracker or whatever, left a message in the BAM block on the disk image. And if this is enabled, it'll read that out and stick it at the top of your directory listing. Info headers, this is something that I added for Meatloaf. Again, this just adds some extra lines at the top of your directory listing that show you, the current URL, the current path, um, the if you've got what type of URL you have mounted, whether it's a, you know, HTTP, FTP, TNFS, SMB, whatever. And it'll show you the path, the URL path for whatever you're getting a directory listing from, so you know where you're at. It'll also show you what image you have mounted. If you're, if it's a URL from a web server and then you've got a D64 mounted, it'll tell you what that image is, what that media file image is, um, as well. Hidden files, this will allow you to list hidden files in your directory listing. Long file names just will just break you out of the 16 character limit on the file names, and say you've got a directory on your SD card with long file names, you'll be able to see the entire file name, not just cut down to 16 characters. Again, that 16 character limit was a limitation of the disk, the physical media, because we're trying to, we want to get as many files in the directory listing as possible. So that 16 character limit was a limit of the media, not of the drive or the computer itself. The Commodore doesn't care how long the file name is, right? So, um, extension colon. This is something I saw in one of Shane Monroe's videos. He had a this fast load cartridge, the God, was it Turbo Load and Save cartridge, and it did a cool little thing where it just put a colon in the right before the file extensions, so you don't have to worry about the rest of the line whenever you're loading a file from a directory listing. You just type load comma 8 and the colon's already there. You don't have to worry about it, which is kind of cool. So I added that as a feature here as well. And then, date and time, load address, the sys address, and those are like some extra things. I haven't implemented those yet, but I have seen some fast load cartridges, things that add that to the directory listing as well. So I thought it might be cool to add those in case people want those. And you can enable or disable any of these in any combination that you want. Um, the last thing I have here is footer bytes. And instead of showing blocks in the footer in the directory listing, it'll show, you know, uh, kilobytes or megabyte, M bytes, K bytes, M bytes, G bytes, T bytes. Um, because when you're browsing an SD card, blocks doesn't really make sense. If you're on a SD card, a 32 gig SD card, you want to see how much space you have left on the card, right? So this is an enhancement, directory enhancement that I added just for Meatloaf as well. All right, so next we have hardware fast loaders. So be fast serial. This is, your fast serial for 1571, 1581 drives. That is not implemented yet, but I have a setting for it already. Action replay that is implemented, or action replay 6. We don't have action replay 5. There's some, yeah, it's 6 and above that is implemented, because action replay 5 fast loader, it loads in like a whole track, and then it gets it finds the file name by loading the entire directory in, or directory track in at once or something. I'm not exactly sure how it works, but it does not work right now. But Action Replay 6 and above does work as far as fast loader. We do have Epic's fast load support in Meatloaf. We have Final Cart 3 fast load support in Meatloaf. We have Jiffy DOS fast load support in Meatloaf. Super Snapshot Fast Load and Warp Speed are not implemented yet. I would like to implement those in the future, so I went ahead and added those. Dolphin DOS, Speed DOS. Both of those are implemented within Meatloaf. Of course, it needs some extra hardware to connect to your user port to utilize those, those speeders. Um, Software fast loaders. Right now, none of these are supported. Geos is the highest on my list to get support for, because it'd be really cool to be able to load Geos right off of Meatloaf. All of these others I'd like to implement at some point in the future, so I went ahead and just listed those in here. Chain loaders. These are um, little programs that will reside on Meatloaf, but it will allow you to say, like you have a SID file and you just want to load it and play it directly. Well, the chain loader would be a player that would, if you go to load a SID, if this is enabled and you go to load a SID file, it would load the it would send over the player and then chain the SID file to the end of it. So it loads into memory and the proper address, and then you just type run and it runs and plays the SID. Same thing for Koala images and BBS. BBS would be just a .bbs file, but it would have like um, the address, the telnet address for a BBS. And so what I was going to do is chain load a terminal program with the BBS file. So you could have like a little .bbs file on your SD card or something that directly goes to whatever, it's just an idea, brainstorming here. And that's where that kind of came from. I think someone had mentioned it when I was doing a demo, and I kind of like the idea, so I threw that in here as well. So that's the options tab. Network, of course, this would just be for scanning and connecting to your Wi-Fi network. You'll be able to set some settings here, your host name, SMTP server, some other options, some services that you may or may not want enabled. Well, you kind of have to have HTTPD and a WebSockets enabled to even be able to utilize this interface. But if for some reason you need extra memory available on Meatloaf for something that is trying to do, I don't know, you'll be able to disable those here. MDNS, that that broadcasts some discovery information so that Meatloaf can be found on your local network. So it's kind of cool. So Meatloaf has a built-in WebDAV server. So if this is enabled, it broadcasts service discovery records with MDNS so that from your Windows machine, your Mac, or your Linux machine, you can browse your network and you'll see a Meatloaf device pop up, and then you just double click it, and boom, you're browsing the file system of your Meatloaf device. You can drag and drop files to it and all of that, which is kind of cool. TCP console. There is a serial console that you can connect to Meatloaf with using a serial connection via USB. But if you cannot, if you want to connect to it over Telnet, you'd enable this TCP console, and then you can just Telnet to your Meatloaf device, and you get a serial console where you can debug some stuff or configure some things right through the console. Which, again, this is just something I was playing with, and it works. I use it mostly for debugging new features, because then I don't necessarily have to have a Commodore computer connected to it, and I can just do stuff right from the console. So, Bluetooth. There's no Bluetooth functionality right now, but the ESP32 does have Bluetooth abilities. So I figured, I'd add at least some configuration options here. All right, next we've got system, and let's just show you a little bit of system information. This is not finished yet, but you'll be able to update the firmware right from here or change firmware. So say you want to switch over to the FujiNet firmware, we'll be able to do that right here from this menu. Nice and simple. Just be able to click this and yeah, right now nothing's coming up because I don't have this completed. Um, Export system logs. There are no system logs to export at the moment, but there may be, and this could be useful for debugging. If someone has an issue, they'll be able to export this log, send it to me, and it'll give me more information to be able to help them figure out what the hell is going on with their setup or what the problem is. Backup configuration, restore configuration, or reset to factory settings. Um, those are pretty ex, self-explaining. I guess I don't know what the right word is. Uh, anyway, storage tools. I've got a function here for formatting your SD card. Normally, you would never want to do this, especially not from the ESP32. It takes for friggin' ever to format for an ESP32 to format 32 gigs. So just saying. Um, so you never really want to mess with that. All right, back to the status tab. That's our main tab, like I was saying. Um, Say we want to mount a disk image. Oh, well, we already mounted a disk image there. Um, we can, let's go mount a swap list, right? You know how you can mount a swap list on a SD to IC? You can do that on Meatloaf as well. So let's go to, we're on the SD card. I know I've got some swap lists under test and then, CBM, of course. Again, this is loading directly from the SD card on Meatloaf right now. So we're going to go to auto swap and then let's do Maniac Mansion. We see we got autoswap.lst. We pick that. We can mount it on any of these virtual drives. Um, Most of them are disabled. 8 is enabled by default now because people are giving me crap about having all these virtual drives enabled by default because it's conflicting with other stuff. So anyway, drive 8. We're going to mount that on 8. It's mounted. Now you hit the Meatloaf logo at the top here and go right back to your status tab. If there's an image in the folder with the files that you mounted, it shows it here automatically. This is an animated GIF, so it's just automatically going through the different frames of the GIF. Um, because we loaded a swap list, it created a media set, right? So we've got Maniac A, Maniac B. So if you're playing the game and it tells you to swap to disk B, you bring up this page on your phone and you hit boom, Maniac B, saved, and it's swapped for you, ready to go. Cool, huh? All right, let me show you something else. We're going to do another swap list, but we're going to go over to Zach McCracken. This one actually has a lot of images, and it's got a lot of images in this folder, right? So I'm going to go up, I'm going to pick this swap list. Let's go back up here. Let's pick the swap list. We're going to mount it on 8. I'm picking 8 because 8 is our default active drive. If another drive were currently active, it would show it here by default. So whatever drive was used last will be the one that pops up here because it's assuming that you're going to want to do something with that drive. I may make this so that you can swap between drives real quick, just swiping left and right or something. But anyway, all of the images that were in that folder get loaded into a slideshow here, which it's kind of nice. I was playing with ideas, and if you get tired of looking at the slideshow, you can pause it, click on it. It shows you all of, you can manually control it back and forth. And whatever one you put it on, if you save it, or well, it remembers the last one you were on. So if you load this back up, it's going to remember that one. You can click it again and start the slideshow again. Again, this created a media set, or well, created a media set from the swap list, and those files were named 1.d64, 2.d64, and 3.d64, which is not very um, intuitive but you can switch between them. Disk 1 is called 1, disk 2 is called 2, disk 3 is called 3. So I created something different to make this a little more, um, a little nicer, and I call it a virtual media stack, VMS file, virtual media stack, right? So we're going to come back here, and I've got one of these down here at the bottom, and let me show you what's in it. We can click here, then we can click View. Okay, this is just like a swap list, but you got a comma, and then you can give it a name for that disk. So real easy to edit. You just do 1.d64 comma, that's our boot disk. 1.2.d64 comma, disk 1 San Francisco. I don't know. 3.d64 comma, disk 2 dash New Mars. Okay, so we're going to mount that on drive 8. Okay, let's go back to our activity tab, and boom, right there, we've got our media set: boot disk, disk 1 San Francisco, disk 2 New Mars. And because I had files that are the exact, or well, not exact, but it's the same name as the file or the name in the media set, it shows that image for that disk. So I picked 2, and it's going to show us the image that is selected for, disk 1 dash San Francisco. Disk 2 dash New Mars is this image. Let me show you that too real quick. So you look right here, we got bootdisk.png. We can view that as well. There it is. Same thing for disk 1 dash San Francisco. View. There it is. So when you select um, or when you select that virtual media stack, it will look for those files, or files named the same, whatever the extension is. It will look for a PNG, a GIF, a JPEG, um, uh, a WebP file. It will look for that and match that, and it's not case sensitive, and it will replace, if they're dashes or underscores, it'll figure that out too. But anyway, it'll find the images and display them here whenever you select that particular disk from the media set. Isn't that cool? I thought it was cool. All right, so let me show you something else too. There's let's see, let's go back to home. This is something that I thought was, I think is really cool. I've had fun putting this together and making it work. But any directory on your flash or SD card, you can set some configuration options to make it a mount point for a virtual file system. So if I click here, let's create a folder, new folder. We're going to call it mounts, and it changes us into that folder. So now let's create another new folder. We're going to call this meatloaf.cc. Okay, now we're in there, so let's configure folder. And it remembered what I did last time. So created a base URL, base underscore URL equals fsp / meatloaf.cc. FSP is a really old protocol. It's like FTP, but it works over UDP, very lightweight. And I I used to have fun with FSP sites back in the day, so I added FSP support to Meatloaf. So anyway, let's save that, and then it's gonna connect this mount point. So it's /mounts/meatloaf.cc will read that config file and give us a directory listing of the URL, which is fsp / meatloaf.cc. It'll give us a directory listing of the stuff that's on that, at that location, that network location. Say I want to um let's load something here. Let's go to Let's just go to apps. There we go. There we go. Say I want to mount CCGMS on drive 8. I can put that on drive 8. And boom, it's ready to go. CCGMS. Now on your Commodore 64, you do um, load, just your load star, and it would load that directly in right through Meatloaf. Okay, so let's go back and I'm going to create another mount point. Let's go back to mounts. Okay, back to mounts. Let's create another folder. Or a new folder. This one is going to be zimmers.net. Okay, let's configure it. Configure folder. Oh, see, and it remembered this one too. I think I, I think because I had these files on the flash and I recreated the folder, it remember the config or something. I don't know, but this is what I had before. So I set the base URL to ftp://zimmers.net. We'll save, then boom. Now we're browsing zimmers.net. We can go into pub, we go into CBM. This is all live. It's going through my Meatloaf device right to this web app that we're browsing right here in, I'm using Brave, but this could be on your phone, right? So the whole idea, people kept asking me, why don't you add a LCD screen to Meatloaf? I'm like, I don't want an LCD screen on Meatloaf. I want everyone carries around a screen in their pocket all the time, and it's much more functional than any LCD could ever be. So why not put it to use? So that's the whole idea of what I'm trying to do here. So we're putting your phone to use as a display device for Meatloaf so you can see the activity or you can configure things or um, just use it for I've got some other things in store that will put your phone to use as well. I'll talk about that in a minute. So anyway, we're browsing zimmers.net right now. This is live. We can select any file here or folder. We'll go to C64. And let's go to games, of course. Oh, yep. Okay, I picked games. And then you just pick whatever file you want and mount it on drive 8. Castle Quest, PRG. There you go. Boom, it's mounted on 8. Ready to load. From your 64, you type load star comma 8 comma 1 or just comma 8, whatever, right? Pretty cool, huh? All right, let's do one more. I want to show you also, let's go back to mounts. We're going to create another mount. This is going to be new folder. It's going to be fujinet.online. Create. Now let's configure the folder. Configure folder. And again, it remembered this one too. I deleted these specifically so I could create them in the video and show you guys how this works. Anyway, it's base underscore URL, and then this one is TNFS / fujinet.online. All right, save, and boom, we're in there. We're browsing fujinet.online's TNF server live, and we can mount something from it right here. Say I want to mount jumpman.d64 to drive 8. There, it's mounted, ready to load. Load $, comma 8, and you get a directory listing, or load star comma 8 comma 1, and it loads the first file off the disk. Pretty cool. All right, let's do one more. I want to show, let's see, haven't tried this one yet. Let's create another mount point. And this is on my local, this is going to be on my local system. See, come on. I'm still trying to connect to that last mount point, which was Fuji. Okay, here, let's go to, hang on. Oh, shoot, it messed up. All right, hang on. Let's go back here. Let's reboot. Reboot Meatloaf. That should fix it if it gets the reboot command. Now, Let's go back. Mount. Well, shoot, I hosed my demo. All right, 1 second. All right, I had to reset Meatloaf manually. Let's see if that connects. Oh, come on now. Darn it. All right, come on now. Well, hang on. Let's see. ls if config. Oh, it's not connected. It did not connect. Scan. Sorry, I'm doing this on another window. All right. Connect. 158. We lost our internet connection for some reason. There we go. Okay. We should be back in business now. Reload. Come on. Yeah, it should be loading here. Come on now. Well, shoot. All right, I'm gonna edit some of this out, I guess. Let me see. See if I can figure out what the deuce happened. Hmm. Ping. Okay, it's pinging. Oh, there we go. Okay. All right, it's loading again. Come on. Load my logo. There we go. All right. Okay. Back in business. Sorry about that. It kind of messed up and I'm not sure why. Oh, I think it hung on that file. All right, I'm gonna click here and we're gonna clear this. Boom. All right, cleared that. All right, let's go. All right, let's try the thing that I was about to try. Mounts. All right. So we're going to create another mount, and this is going to be, I'm going to try and mount a share on my local Samba server. Okay, so let's create a new folder. This is going to be ultra ultra.idlepix.com or just ultra.idlepix. Okay, so configure folder. This one has not been created before. Okay, now we can create our configuration here. There are going to be other options for configuring folders, but right now, just base URL and cache are supported. So we're going to do base URL, and then this is going to be SMB colon slash slash 192.168.1.220. Oh, you know what? Let's put our password in our username and password, which is meatloaf colon meatloaf at 192.168.1.220. That should be correct. Fingers crossed that this works, and looks like it is. Look at that. We are in. Go to Meatloaf. Those were the shares on the server. Pretty cool. Okay, it's loading. Oh, wow. See, and that's pretty much everything that had on my SD card. That's awesome. That worked. That's the first time I tried that. Here, check this out too. When you're in a folder that has a configuration, um, you can click this little thing here to get directly back to the configuration. I'm going to modify this so that it goes directly to slash meatloaf. There we go. Save. There we go. Now it's going directly to that share. instead of showing us all of the shares on the server. Oh, there's another thing I wanted to show you guys too. All right, cool. That works. You see, there's the full URL there, and we're browsing my Samba server. Isn't that awesome? All right, let's go back to home here. Go back to SD, and now check this out. Say we go into arcade. This is just a folder on the SD card, and it's got a bunch of PRG files in here. You want to find something? Boom. We got a filter and type Pac-Man. There we go. Hey, look at that. Miss Pac-Man, Pac-Man, Super Pac-Man. Click that. Mount on 8. Ready to go. Isn't that cool? All right, so I think that's most of what I wanted to show you guys. Um, there are some apps, and this is let me show. I'll show you this real quick. Bunch of this stuff may or may not wind up in the default Meatloaf manipulator. That's what I'm calling this. Is Meatloaf Manipulator instead of Meatloaf Config or something. I like alliteration, so Meatloaf Manipulator it is. All right, so apps, Media Manager. That's our default app. That's the Media Manager, which we spend a lot of time in, really, because that's the main function of this app is to select stuff and mount it on your virtual drives. Okay. Um, Apps. We got our print manager. This allows you to manage the files that are on your, or the print files that are on your system. Add stuff in there. Thought I had stuff in this folder. It should have shown that. Okay. Anyway, I'll look at that later. But in here, you can come in and click one and view it right here on your phone or your desktop, wherever you're running or wherever you're browsing this app from. You'll be able to view your printouts immediately on your phone, on your PC, just by coming here and then selecting it. It should list them. You can also sort by date so that you get your, you get the last printout at the top of the list. So anyway, all right, let's go back. Apps. There is a serial console, and this is not functioning right now. I don't know if I'm going to complete this because I was running into some issues with the with with the connection. How I was going to make this work. I was going to try and make it work over WebSockets, and I'm using WebSocket stuff for other things, and I really don't want to do that. I don't think there's not really a need for the console right here. Although it could be useful. Um, it would be neat to have it here, but you can access the serial console or TCP console from a Telnet program from your desktop or something. So I don't know if I can figure out a way to make this work. I'm going to make it work, but right now it's not really functional. Shortcodes, this is not working yet, but I thought it'd be cool to be able to manage your shortcodes, your Meatloaf shortcodes right here in the Meatloaf manipulator, right? There's some other tools here. These are all just ideas. None of this stuff is working yet. Just disk utilities, cartridge utilities for creating CRT files or Magic Desk or Easy Flash cartridges. We're going to do some development tools and things, and then some other cool things. Oh, reality override. This is going to be a really cool feature. It's not functional yet. I did add like some cool animations. Here, I'll show you. Boom. Reality override. And this is in this mode, the idea is when Meatloaf is connect or when you've got your phone connected via Meatloaf, it becomes a node in a small cluster. It's just your 64 Meatloaf and then your phone or your browser, your desktop web browser or whatever. But in this mode, it is connected via WebSockets, and we've got two-way communications. So there's some things that I like to do in Meatloaf, but it really, this ESP32 doesn't have the power that we need to be able to do some of those things. So my idea, and again, I was channeling some thoughts, just brainstorming and whatnot. And I was, that part in the movie in Weird Science where, they do as much as they can with their computer and then they can't do anything else with it. They need more power, right? So they dial into a government computer with their with their, you know, acoustic coupled modem and they get more power. And that's kind of the idea here is we're using the power of your browser of your phone browser to augment Meatloaf, right? So we can offload commands from Meatloaf to the browser and it will do some stuff and then send it back. Yeah. See, I'm on my PC here on the console and I can send commands to this. None of these work. Hey, everybody. See, that's a command that was received from my serial console over through Meatloaf and then to the browser there. Isn't that cool? Meatloaf loves you. Boom. Oh, sorry, I did that wrong. Meatloaf. There. Anyway, I'm just it's just playing right now, but so it's not functional. I have to define an API and figure out what all we can make this do. But that is kind of the idea. Um, okay, one more thing here. We've got a profile icon, and this brings up a menu for preferences. I don't know if I'm going to do notifications. There'll be some documentation and about Meatloaf. That is not final yet, so I'm still working on stuff. Preferences, there's just a few things here. I didn't know where else to put these things, so I just kind of threw them here for now. I'm still reorganizing and arranging things and tweaking things with the user interface and the functionality and everything. So none of this is set in stone and it will be different in the final version. Oh, one more thing that I want to show you, and this is not complete, but it's going to be awesome, is this button here. This is going to be a global search. Um, it will search everything on your SD card, but it will also hit web APIs to search for content in other databases, whether that's the Assembly 64 or CommoServe or the CSDB NG that I've been working on. So this is going to be pretty cool. Again, it's not functional right now, but when it is, you'll be able to set your search keywords. You can also select some items here, the system type, the video standard, or the language that you're looking for, and it'll do a global search and find whatever you're looking for and give you a list here that you can just click on it and mount it right in Meatloaf ready to go. That's the idea at least. Again, still have a lot of work to do to make this work, to make this functional, but that's where I'm going with things. So anyway, I guess that is enough for this. I've been talking for a long time. I hope everything made sense. Let me know what you think. Come find me in the Discord, meatloaf.cc for links to the Discord and to the YouTube where, well, you're probably watching this on YouTube, so you already know where that's at. But mainly just, yeah, GitHub, YouTube, Discord. Come find me. Let me know what you think. Come brainstorm with us in the Discord and let's make this thing even cooler than it already is. All right. Thanks. Bye.